Just gotta get Botox. Just send it. Just fucking do it.
Is that what the Pauls do?
Maybe I think
Women
so.
Pauls?
That might be what it is. Am I live? All right, we're live. What's going on, D-Bags? Hope you guys are doing well. We're back here again with another episode of the dtalks podcast, episode 208 to be specific. And if you're new here and you enjoy music, podcasts, or comedy, do consider subscribing. We've got a whole lot of that going on around here. And when you do subscribe, leave a like or hang out with us here in the live chat like you're going to do tonight. Helps us share conversations and laughs like we're having today with more people. So do consider doing that. And if you do take the second to do that, why not take another half second to click the notifications bell so you don't miss an upload, and you can be in the live chat while we're having conversations like this to be like, hey, Darren, whatever you're talking about is factually incorrect, okay? You're wrong. You're always wrong. If you want to correct me, you want to be able to do that, you just got to make sure you have notifications on, you can. Now, before I introduce you guys to my guest this week and start chopping it up, I got to talk to you guys a little bit about your grooming, because I can promise you you're messing it up, okay? We've all been there, right? It's date night. You waited a few weeks too long to trim the hedges. And now the cutesy little rainforest you had down there has kind of turned into a sprawling, wet, hot rainforest of sorts down there. It's not cool, man. I'm just telling you like it is. That's what's going on. It's disgusting. It's not a good look. So what do? We reach for that electric razor we picked up from, I don't know if I could say this, but Walmart. Okay, I don't know actually if I'm allowed to say that, but we picked it up from a Walmart, maybe a Kmart, if you can find one. Blue light special. You pick up a $20 electric razor. Start going down, and you realize you're playing a dangerous game, bro. It's not good. It's not a good look, and it's dangerous, and you're risking your most valuable possessions. You don't got to do that anymore, though. You got to go nuts. Go Nuts is a revolutionary, brand new, first of its kind, patented personal groomer that's unique design is unlike anything else on the market. So quit playing yourself with these other brands that swear up and down that they're going to protect you and then use the same tech and leave you with the same cuts and nicks. So put in your order now at thegonuts.com. It's on the screen right now. It's linked down below. We also have an affiliate link, so it helps support the channel. I just got mine, actually, last week. And you guys know, we had the owner on a couple weeks back, and it's got the double attachment, right? So this is a magnetic attachment. And I'm telling you, his patented design, which is the second attachment, I genuinely don't think it's possible to cut your nuts on it. I was trying. Like, I was so scared to do it. Even though we tried it, we did a demo on my arm and everything, and it was great, right? My nuts is a different thing. So I gave it a try, and I was all tentative at first, and nothing's happening. So I'm like, all right. And I started, I don't know what those like half like bag things you give to like 2-year-olds are. But I started doing whatever the fuck they do to those, and I was using this at the same time, and I couldn't get a cut. So mad respect to Landon and Go Nuts. If you want to support the channel and support a black-owned business, check it out in the link in the description. Use Rita47 to save some money. But with all that good stuff out of the way, man, I'm excited to be chopping it up with my guest today. So let's give a wet detox welcome to comedian Syed.
What's up?
That's how you say it, right?
What's up?
Syed. Yeah.
I have to say, this whole time I thought that was like a
This guy.
Death Star.
This
And
yeah,
I'm
that's
very happy that I fought my urge to like
to say
pick
something.
it up, touch it.
Yeah.
I have this like thing. It's probably like a sensory thing. I like to smell toys.
Dude.
I'm glad I didn't do that here.
Dude, could
yeah.
you imagine? This was all up in my nuts.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
a day ago. I actually didn't even think about that, just having it on the table like that.
It does look like the various other things that you have going on here.
Yeah, dude, there's so much Star Wars memorabilia. This could be, maybe they should do a Death Star skin. I should talk to them about that for next year's May the 4th or something like that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, man. But it's good to see you. It's good to have you in the studio, man. What a wonderful day to not be in a submarine, right?
Definitely.
We're chilling.
Every day is a good day not to be a submarine.
Do you think the submarine business has been hurt by this recent incident? You think less people are going to take trips in submarines?
I would think so. I'm not sure how much of a booming business it was in the first place. I think it's just sort of one of those things that you do that when you have too much money and time on your hands.
Yeah, dude. I was curious about that too. I don't know how tapped into this this whole story you've been. It's kind of hard to escape it, I feel like, the last few days.
Especially in like doing what I do, because I was just at Comedy State like this past week, and it was like a race who's gonna make the first submarine joke.
Yeah.
And after the first couple of people do it, it's like now it's lost all its flavor.
Yeah, you can't do it. You got to have something ridiculous to say.
I personally would not want to sink that low.
Jeez. I like it. That's good. Yeah, dude. So for those of you who have maybe been living under a rock, there was a submarine, what is it, maybe last week, Thursday, I think Wednesday or Thursday, or was it sooner than that? Might have been even earlier in the week. But it was last week. There was a submarine called the Titan, which many have pointed out is interesting, considering to have the balls to call it the Titan when even the Titanic was called the Titanic because I guess it translates to Titan-like, not straight up Titan.
Yeah.
And then this little guy was like, no, we're just gonna go full Titan. Basically, a billionaire dude who owns Ocean Gate, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, decided to cut a bunch of corners, make a relatively cheaper submersible that he takes other millionaires and billionaires down to the Titanic for $250,000 a pop to just check it out. But you don't even really get to check it out because you're watching it through a camera.
Yeah.
So we could really be using just a drone-controlled one, but whatever. So he does this regularly. I guess they went like 6 times in the last like 2 years, it didn't implode. It was lost for a while, and we didn't know what was happening. And it was a big story, and then we found out, was it 2 days ago maybe, that it imploded, killing himself as well as 4 other passengers, all very wealthy people, and that's where the jokes sort of are stemming from. You know, this is a very tragic incident, but people were already making jokes before they'd even run out of oxygen, before we knew if they had run out of oxygen.
We have to mention the Xbox little thing that it was controlled by too.
Yeah.
It was a rinky-dink thing for all that money.
Yeah, I know you got to know about it. If you do know about a situation, you definitely know, but if you don't, this is the controller. Most submersibles or submarines are controlled by, a plethora of different screens, buttons. I mean, it looks like the Millennium Falcon in most of these, right? There's tons of shit you can push and press and pull, whatever. This guy's like, nah, I'm going to simplify it. We got something better. And I'm going to pull up a picture real quick of this controller. And apparently, there's so many memes of people saying that they found the controller survived the implosion, which is just fucking foul. But let's see here. This guy right here, if it'll be able to be seen on the screen there. Oh, there you go. Yeah. This guy right here, the Logitech controller, was what this guy decided to run and control his entire... I don't know how many millions of dollars went into this thing. Apparently, it was a lot cheaper than most submersibles. But, he decided to use a Logitech gaming controller that I've never even seen.
Yeah, I think my personal favorite meme was Dom from Fast and Furious, just, like, driving his car into the ocean with no, like, protective gear or anything, with the implication being that his family's down there.
Yeah, his family's down there now. Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, the reason I bring it up, we have a talented comedian here with us, someone who I'm a fan of. And this tragedy, which it is a tragedy, it was going on last week. And myself, as well as all the other internet wannabe comedians, started chiming in before there was even a verdict on whether or not something good or bad was going to happen. And I was curious your thoughts on that, because people when they talk comedy, there's a fine line for some people between tragedy and the timeline of when you're allowed to joke about it.
Sure.
And I was curious your thoughts on that. Like, where do you draw the line? When is it too soon to joke about something? When is it?
Yeah, so I'll joke about pretty much any subject matter. Like you've heard my stuff. I barely know like lines. As long as I think that I can come up with a decent mislead punch, like whatever joke formula I'm going for. There's no subject that I'll be like, no, I'm not touching that. Jokes are jokes, and my jokes are pretty like limitless as far as content.
Yeah.
I do think that in general, people talking about it are being kind of self-righteous in their memeing, They're kind of sprinkling it on as like, these aren't just me, like this isn't just me joking about people who have died. I'm also doing like commentary, you know what I mean? And like, on one hand, yes, these were billionaires. I'm of the opinion that billionaires just like shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Period. I'm like, what? I think the technical term is...
A few of them don't anymore, so...
That's very true. I think the technical term is a socialist beta cuck soy boy.
Yeah, I think that is. That is. Yeah.
Technical...
That's what it says when I look in the mirror. So yeah, I think you're
Right.
talking
But
about the right thing.
I don't believe the sincerity of a lot of people memeing. I think they just want to be part of
The trend.
of the meme, you know.
Yeah.
And as far as like stupid things you can do with your money, and this was like an incredibly stupid thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's worse shit they could have been doing, and like I don't think it's like a righteous stance because there was also like a 19-year-old on there, right? Like one of their sons, and like there's presumably a mom and family dealing not just with like the loss of like a teenage son, but also the added trauma is like the rest of the world thinks this is fucking funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that would be
tough, man.
yeah. So maybe it's like maybe it's a contradiction of me because I will joke about this and pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But like the people who are trying to
You have empathy.
who are trying to present themselves as there's something moral about it, I don't see it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not. I think I think there's a part of that where people are like, I don't necessarily feel that bad for this dude, especially the head guy, because he's the billionaire that decided to cut all these corners. And like you said, it's a pretty ridiculous thing. Like, of all the things that could happen, it'd be the same thing if Richard Branson or whoever from the Virgin Mobile people, when they're doing the rockets up into space just to like get up to space and then come back down, the little joyrides with all the millionaires. If one of those blew up, we'd probably be doing the same thing.
Sure.
We'd be like, was it necessary? Like, how much did you just destroy the Earth's like atmosphere so that you guys could have this little joyride, right? And yeah, so I think there's that part of it where people are like, maybe they feel less bad, but especially when you mention stuff like there is a 19-year-old on there. Some of these people probably had wives, other family members that care about them, regardless if they are potentially piece of shit billionaires that have exploited tons of people or whatnot. It doesn't. We're not necessarily like happy to see them die.
Yeah.
But if there was a way to die that was hilarious, they found it.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the contradiction kind of lies, where it's like you're not happy that someone died.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny.
Yeah, I'm mainly reacting to people I've seen who are like
Yeah.
who are like, I'm not just joking. This is like a brave social justice thing I'm doing by fucking popping off.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
You just want to do it, dude.
Yeah.
To you it's not that different from all the fucking Will Smith Oscar memes. Like just fucking be real about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just let it be funny, man. I mean, and like you said, like obviously that sucks for the people involved, and you're gonna have empathy for
And
that.
in my head, I'm like, when I was 19, I don't think that like if my dad had the means to do this, that I would want to do it. But also when I was 19, all it would take is one of my boys calling me a bitch, and I'm like, all right,
I'm on that submarine.
I'm on that submarine, and so are you. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, we're going together, bro.
Yeah.
We're taking a Snapchat at the bottom with the fucking Titanic on the fucking screen. God damn. Yeah, that's the thing that blew my mind was like all the videos that came out after the fact, and it is funny. I don't know how much if you follow like music stuff at all, like with like rappers or any of that scene, but there's a lot of pushback all the time when like a rapper passes away, and you'll see all the like media outlets that did interviews with them in the past will like repost their old clips with them and like do all these things to like cash in on that moment of like, oh, they just passed away. So there's all these eyeballs. So let's make our money. And they've been criticized for that a lot. Happens every time one of these young guys dies, which is super sad.
Is that rapper specifically or any influential musical figure?
It's happened when like XXXTentacion died, when Juice WRLD died. It'll always be like a big person, and I know Adam 22 from No Jumper has gotten a lot of shit for that, as well as other things. But that's something he's gotten a lot of shit for. A lot of these outlets, they get shit for it, and I thought it was interesting. Now that this is more of this isn't just like a subculture like rap or rock or some like thing that the mainstream news outlets are really not wanting to cover. This is like a big thing where Coast Guards were involved, and it was a national news story. So now all these news organizations are like, wait, do we have any footage of us going to see these guys?
Yeah.
And now they're reposting their old interviews with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the clips of the reporter that is so hilarious is when he shows him the Logitech controller. And the reporter, I forget if it was ABC or who it was, but it was one of these national news networks, literally like face palms in front of this billionaire dude. Like, you got to be shitting me, bro. And laughs in his face. And this guy still went and took it.
Yeah, it's a lot of parasitic attitudes in general. I don't even think it's that different from what we were just talking about. When anything big happens, like regardless of if it's sad or if it's kind of funny, or like everyone wants to be a part of the moment, and they'll find their way to
Yeah.
to find to have their slice of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just interesting. Usually they try to be above that stuff, and it's just wild that like with this they're like,
What
nah.
what outlets was this? Was this like CNN, like the major ones?
No, I wasn't seeing that. It was something like that. I just watched it before you got here. Actually, I was watching part of this interview. They like the full like hour interview that they had done, like a whole report on this guy a while back, and I'm like, that's crazy. Like usually, again, if this was like what is it? The inside CBS. It was CBS reposted their interview, their full like in-depth thing where the reporter went out and like sat in the submarine. I think he actually went in the submarine with the guy. But yeah, I don't know, man. What would it? I guess you said what it would take for you back when you were 19. What would it take for you now to get in the Titan 2? If Ocean Gate comes out with the second one,
man. I'm not
what would it take for you to get in the fucking Titan 2? I'm trying to think for me what that answer would be. If there's a price tag.
Yeah.
What if so you're a comedian, you're doing your thing.
First and foremost, I don't even care about the ocean in the first place. It's not like I'm like fascinated to see what species of jellyfish we haven't found yet, or like whatever the fuck they're trying to figure out.
What if the next one, what if the Titan 2 uses like a Nintendo 64 controller? Because that's got the third prong in the middle.
Yeah, that's like
arguably one of the worst controller designs.
Yeah, that's
of all
how
time.
you get millennials in general now. Like everything's a fucking reboot of your childhood.
Yeah. Dude, that's what the Titan 2 is going to need. Ocean Gate, if you're listening, that's what you need to do. We need to rebrand. We need some Sega Genesis, some Nintendo 64. That's what we got to use in the next Titan. Yeah, dude, I don't know. It's also weird. It's pretty funny now looking back that they're called Ocean Gate. Like, that's a tough name. Water. We got anything with gate after it is like something's going wrong.
It does sound like some Q, like eating
Pizzagate,
babies type shit.
Yeah, Pizzagate, Watergate, any of these gates, man. It was like, yeah, who would have thought? It is eerie, and it is like stupid now, like looking back at all these things that like nobody was like, hey buddy, let's chill on this. Maybe let's make the submarine how they make all the other submarines in the world.
Do you think when they were down there, like probably at some point they had some awareness of their coming deaths, or is like worst thing is people up there, they're fucking roasting us so hard, dude.
I don't know, man. Do you think like I mean there's no way you have any type of signal at all, but that would be hilarious. I mean it would not be hilarious, but if you like had signal, if there was Wi-Fi on this thing, and you just like load up like TikTok or Twitter, and it's like people just fucking trashing you, and you're like, dude, this is.
All right, I'll be like, you know what? We should die. I don't think that I want to go back to this world.
I can't come back. No. Yeah, dude, it's like that scene. I don't know if you've ever seen Little Nicky. It's like an old Adam Sandler movie. I forget which guy it is, which actor off the top of my head. I can't remember his name. He's like the peeping Tom at the beginning of the movie, and he dies falls out of the tree, and he's going to hell.
Yeah.
And he's in hell getting molested by a giant crow, a bird.
As one does.
Yes, because he was pretending to be a bird in the tree. Whatever, it's a thing. Go watch the movie. It's a silly movie, but it's fun. And I deserve this. I deserve this. That would be me in the submarine. If people were, I'd be like, yeah, we deserve this.
I can see that.
Especially if I was one of those people that got convinced into doing it. Not the 19-year-old. That's if my dad is going and he's like, hey, we're doing this,
Yeah.
At 19, I think I might have probably listened to him. But especially if he's a fucking multimillionaire and can afford to have me on there. Even though money does not equal smarts, if you're 19, I bet you probably would have thought that. But all the other people, right, if you got convinced and like you didn't like do any like digging to be like, wait, maybe we should talk to some other people. Because apparently there was all these other experts that were like, yeah, it's not a good idea.
I imagine there is a lot of like ingrained sense of nothing bad can happen to me, which I think is probably a part of the lack of empathy people have.
Yeah, that's fair. If you were gonna name a submarine, this will be the last we'll do with the submarine.
Mm-hmm.
If you were gonna name a submarine that was maybe or maybe not gonna go see the Titanic, what would you name it? Because the Titan that's a tough name, especially for something so small and built out of carbon fiber instead of titanium, like all the rest of them are.
I don't know, maybe something dorky like Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero would be cool. That's actually a good name, except for it would be shitty if you like went to like the Arctic Ocean. Well, I guess actually where the Titanic is, it's pretty cold there, isn't it? Because they hit an iceberg.
Yeah.
So it's got to be cold wherever the fuck they are.
Yeah. Do you think the ghosts of the people who were on the ship were like watching that shit, just like laughing at the fact that someone would be stupid?
Dude, well they probably were like thinking, how many times are these idiots going to come back down here? Because apparently they did it a few times. They'd done it multiple times with this same ship, but they had to know like. This guy's he said he bought like some of the shit, not from Home Depot, but like Camping World or something. The lights and everything in the inside. He's using like Walmart brand security cameras on the outside for your image display to look at this thing. Some of these ghosts are probably like, I'm going to let it slide this one time. But if you come down here again, we're going to have to say something because this is disrespectful at this point.
Yeah.
You know? We got smoked. I did see one meme that I was laughing at pretty hard that was like, imagine dying and having to go, like having to be in heaven and having to explain how you got there. And it's like, oh, I died on the Titanic 100 some years after it already sank. That'd be tough. I think they'd probably just kick you out.
I think when you are that stupid, you're like exonerated of the stupid thing that you did, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, I don't think that Celine Dion will be singing about this, if I had to guess.
Dude, it would be wild if they did like just like a 20-minute short film about this, and it was the follow-up, and they released it in theaters. Just had her make a new song. I could see her doing it. She wouldn't do it. But they could, maybe if the bag was there. They remake everything now, so they could remake that.
Everyone has a
price
tag, yeah.
So we kind of talked about, how soon after tragedy and whatnot is it okay? We were talking over DMs when we were getting this set up, and you mentioned to me that, and I didn't know this, especially going to see you live, that you have a speech impediment.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, as a comedian, as somebody who does something that's extremely daring and a lot of people see as courageous and intimidating to do as stand-up comedy, right? Not only are you doing that, you are going up there as somebody who has a speech impediment. How do you handle that? What's your sort of perspective on it? And what are like the ways that you've kind of either integrated that into the stuff that you do or sort of found a way to persevere through that?
Sure. First of all, I want to say it is very brave of me to go up there and tell all the cum jokes that I do. I think other stutterers would see that and be proud that something like that is possible.
Yeah.
No, I haven't yet like found a way to like integrate it into my act. Like when it comes up and it's like too obvious, I'll just make a note that I stutter. Like other comics that told me that, dude, you have to write a bit about this.
Yeah.
I think I'm still not like mentally, emotionally prepared to do that yet. Cause like on a good day on stage when I'm doing like my best stuff that I've like rehearsed over and over again, the stutter isn't there, and I like to pretend like it's not a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cause any type of public speaking is something that I feel like it's my nature to do, but I always felt like I never could.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do something like this where I'm talking to people, be it stand-up or acting. Like I was big into politics for a long time too. So all of my like natural tendencies lended towards speaking to a large group of people. It's like, no, I can't do that. And I say this because it was like so much worse. Like the conversation that we're having right now would have been impossible a handful of years ago. Because it was so bad that it looked like I was having a seizure in my face. Like I'd be like, hey, I'm so, and like my face would fucking glitch. Like for multiple words in a single sentence.
How do you now? And forgive me for my ignorance on this. How do you, I guess, other than just putting in the reps of I guess, putting yourself out there in positions where you're going to have to do it. Are there other ways and techniques and whatnot to sort of, I guess, combat that? Because obviously, like you said, we're here having this conversation, and that's not happening, right? Where you're not fucking fully doing that. So
Yeah. Well, there are definitely techniques that you learn in therapy, and for me, it's a combination of things that I've learned in therapy and just mastering my own cadence and finding like substitutes for words in like real time.
Yeah.
Like even now as we're talking, like I am doing things mentally that a stutterer does. Like this entire conversation, like there might be a word that I want to say,
Yeah.
but I'll quickly think of a synonym because I just know that for whatever reason I can't say this word right now. So it's always active. It's active even when I'm not stuttering. I like explain it like just because an alcoholic isn't drinking doesn't mean that he's not an alcoholic anymore. Like every minute of every day he's like fighting that.
Do you ever how does it work if you're in bed?
In bed?
If you're fucking somebody?
Oh, I was like, I don't talk while I'm sleeping.
No.
That's weird.
No,
Yeah.
It was ill-timed joke. Maybe I was just saying, like, if you were, this would be, maybe you can write a better bit about this than I could.
Yeah.
If you were being intimate with somebody.
Yeah, I'm not.
Are you locked in then? There's no stutter?
I'm not too conversational.
There's not a lot to talk about?
No. Like, if there's, like, a specific thing that she wants me to, like, call out or, like, call her, I'll, like, do it, but that's not too difficult, you know what I mean?
Okay.
If she wanted me to, like, recite something for her,
yeah.
first of all, I'd be weirded out, but I'd do it to the best of my abilities.
You got to finish the job, right? So you do it. You'd get it done.
Yeah, because I'm a performer first and foremost.
Yeah. I respect that about you. I do. So you've kind of, that's really incredible, man. Especially you saying that, like, even a few years ago, like the progress that you've made.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And I, I saw you, maybe I've seen you 4 or 5 times live, and I don't think I even caught any bit of the stutter.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking back on it now that you had told me, because I didn't even realize it until you'd mentioned something over DM. I think maybe once out of the 4 or 5 times I saw you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and being someone who is usually fairly fluent, like, sure, it's not as bad as, like, when I was stuttering my ass off all the time. There are people struggling with that now, and I know how difficult it is, and even people who have it worse than I ever did. But, like, being usually fluent is its own challenge in a way, because, like, if I talk to you and every other word I said I stuttered, you would pick up, oh, this dude stutters, and then you would behave accordingly after that. But me, as someone who can have a conversation fluently, and if I randomly stutter on one word, you'll be like, what the fuck just happened? Is he doing a bit?
Are you okay?
Yeah. So I'm very anxious about what one word or a sound or syllable will, like, trigger the stutter, and then everyone around me be like, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh, I get that, man. That's gotta be tough. You mentioned that it's been worse in the past, and that you just mentioned there are other people that have probably gone through similar things where it's at a worser point, and you know what they're going through. What's like the struggles behind that, other than really not being able to maybe say what you feel in a moment? Like, what are the other sort of things that maybe somebody that doesn't go through that need to kind of realize, has more empathy?
It's a lot of compromise, especially if you have, like, a social personality type, which I do. I always describe myself as, like, especially as a kid and growing up, as, like, an extrovert who was kind of forced to be an introvert.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was there like, every stutterer is different. Like, I know there are stutterers who will confidently stutter and not give a shit, but I was not one of them. Like, as a kid, if someone heard me stutter once, I just didn't want to ever talk to them again, because I felt like they'd seen some part of me that I didn't want them to see, that I never consented for them to see, and I felt like you're always just gonna see me as that guy who does that now, which I know is a lot of just, like, my own personal shit, and probably not the truth of how most people are. But
yeah, I get that though, but I mean, that's a challenge that a lot of people,
Yeah.
that if they don't have a stutter or they've not had something like that, they're not going to understand.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man, to have to deal with something like that on a regular day basis.
I stutter more when I'm like practicing new jokes at open mics.
Do you think it's a confidence thing, partially?
It's maybe, but it's also like my best tried and true stuff. I've said it so many times that it's almost like going through the motions for the most part. I'm mostly just focusing on like my presence and like reading the room if this is the right joke or not, because like my quote unquote best stuff, I'm not even thinking while I'm saying it at this point. The words just like come out.
Yeah.
But when
And
I'm saying when I'm saying and I know which word choices work for a sentence, but when I'm trying something new, I don't have any of that, which is why it's more nerve-wracking for me to
makes sense
to try that. Yeah. And like nervousness is a part of it, sure, but I think one of the biggest misconceptions about stuttering is that someone who stutters is just they're nervous or they're shy or they're lying about something, right? Those are the most common. Like if you're being interrogated by something and you're stuttering a lot, like they'll be like, this guy's hiding something, because otherwise wouldn't be doing that. There's always, but like and like nervousness plays a hand, but I always say that I don't stutter because I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I stutter, and that little flip is the main thing.
Yeah, that makes sense though, right? Because you're worried about, like you were saying before, you are, even in this conversation right now, you are actively having to have this Rolodex of other potential synonyms for words or for ways to finish, certain sentences or things that you want to say, because you, for whatever reason, you're like, oh, I know I can't say it that way right now in this moment. I have to take this other route because I just can't say that word right this second. So you're not necessarily like nervous so that the nervousness isn't making you stutter. You know that there is this stutter, like you said with the alcoholism thing, right? Where it's like, this thing is here, so that is what's making you nervous and not the other way around. It's not you're nervous so you're doing it. It's this thing is here. And that can make you nervous because you're having to do all these other things just to...
And like the knowledge that the stutter is there and like trying to avoid it in itself can make it worse. But like, I think if I just like somehow lost the knowledge that I have a stutter, that it would almost completely go away.
You think so?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. We got to get you a lobotomy or something. Just fucking... That'd be crazy.
I've heard that like people have gone to be hypnotized for like very specific memory loss.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you do it?
I don't know, because how would it ever work? Am I never gonna meet someone again for the rest of my life who's going to remind me that one time I had a speech impediment? Is everyone just gonna keep quiet about it for the rest of my life?
That would be a big conspiracy for us all to keep
imagine going. Like if I had like a falling out with a girl or something who'd been cool about it, but like her last day was like, oh, by the way, you have a really bad stuttering problem.
And then you just
like, what?
Snapped out.
Oh shit, I do.
That would be fucked up, bro. Yeah, that would be foul. We've been talking about speaking a lot, and obviously having a speech impediment and whatnot. Something that I thought was very interesting, and you could tell you do or don't want to talk about this, but I know the first time I saw you were doing an accent on stage.
Yeah.
How are you like? Okay, I know some comedians are very against this, and other comedians are like all for it. You were doing an accent, and I'll let you explain.
Wait, I have
what was
to
going
ask,
on.
when you say some comedians are for it and some are against it, like, did you talk to like a specific comics in the scene?
Oh no, not here. No, not here. No, you're like ready to beef with somebody now.
It has been contentious in the conversations I've had with other comics in the scene about it. Yeah, they're saying you're not being yourself. You're doing like easy, tacky stuff.
Yeah,
like, yeah, I am, but I'm a very like pragmatic minded person about how I approach things.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I know these are like easy bake laughs, but I started it when I was just like a handful of months in. And I was like, if this thing gets a reaction now and it makes me more comfortable up there, then why not use it to find myself? And I do it way less. It's still part of my act, but it's like I'll open that way and then I'll like transition out.
Yeah.
And
I think
why
I
not
caught you on the tail end of you doing
yeah,
it.
and first of all, like, I'm not gonna listen to like a bunch of like white people telling me like
Yeah.
if I can or cannot use this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is part of the bit that like when I slip out of it, I like kind of shame the audience. Like, hey, that was first of all, I said I was Pakistani, and then I did a shitty Indian accent, and none of you caught on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
shame
yeah.
on you for laughing at that, all right?
Yeah.
Because I've been telling these jokes as a new comic, and you'll never laugh, and y'all never laugh as hard as when I do it in that stupid voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a silly thing that works. Do I want to be the accent guy for my comedy?
No.
No, but if it's a thing that I can do to get me to a certain place now, then it's mine to do with as I please.
Yeah.
Because that accent, talking like that, it was something that was because I was in high school like shortly after the Twin Towers went down, and I went to like a very like rednecky small town.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like people doing that accent on me or like just calling me the sand n-word, it was just like a day-to-day part of my
Jesus.
life. So now I'm like, so now that I can use this to work for me and like get mine doing it, I'm not supposed to do it, and it's also white people telling me not to do it. No, I'll do it if I want to because it's my thing.
Yeah, when I think you brought up a very interesting point there that I think is very valid, where if you're using something like that to warm up basically an audience or set up a joke, like you're saying, it's part of the bit, is almost like you being like, that, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? Why are you laughing at that? And then that takes you into your other stuff that you have worked your ass off to get well.
Yeah.
I don't see an issue with that. Like, I don't know how, like, if this is a vehicle that gets you from A to B, and it's something that's for you, again, if people that look like me are telling you, oh, you can't do that, sure. I don't really see much validity in that. Like, I understand what they're saying, maybe those people, and that's what I've heard online. It's the same thing. You hear it a lot with like Asian American comics and stuff like that. People, they'll slip into an accent or something, and people will criticize that. They're like, why are you doing this for making white people laugh at whatever? And usually those people that are criticizing it is other white people. Yeah. And I always find it interesting. And so I'd never, at least in person, seen anybody do it. And you were the first guy I'd seen do it. And the first time you did, I think I saw you, I think you did the whole set in that, and then it was like the next time I saw you switched it to exactly what you just said. You used it to get comfortable, and then you got comfortable, and then now it's part of your bit. And I think that's, I don't know, I think that's kind of cool.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and my personal take is that like the pushback I've heard about is, oh, you're not being yourself. You're doing performance art rather than comedy. First of all, there are still clear-cut jokes and joke structures in there, but but even though like doing a fake accent is like more of an extreme of it, is like most comics are not their true self on stage, right? You're always some exaggeration of what you are. Or even sometimes something completely crazy. I've like in the course of my jokes, just because I needed to make it work, made myself like a terrorist. And like I think most people realize that like if I was, I probably wouldn't be talking about it. But that's not being real either, you know what I mean? But yeah, if I just did this and stuck to it, it was my whole thing, then yeah, I would feel like a fraud. But it's not something that I'm trying to hide from people.
Well, and it's exactly, and it's not, and I don't know who's making these rules and telling you that you have to be 100% your most authentic self on stage. What is Anthony Jeselnik? He's fucking. He's a psycho when he's on stage, like so dark, psychotic, talks about like wanting to kill his neighbors, doesn't care about his grandma dying, like crazy shit. And he's like a super sweet man when you hear him talk off of stage when he's on a podcast or something. So it's like, I don't really buy that 100%. Like you can have a stage persona that can be elements of who you are as a person, right? And it's like thoughts that you have that are funny. You're a comedian. You get to be whatever you want to be when you're up there.
And I do think that I do lend more into putting performance into the jokes, because the sort of act that I've been refining now and been doing more than the accent is this new thing where I'm like very vain, almost like psychotically narcissistic about my jokes, and like stoically after every joke it was like, wow, that was a great joke. I'm like so good at this. Wow,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so funny and handsome. And over time, people like catch on that this is like a thing that I'm doing, and they'll like start laughing at the insanity of how into myself I am.
Yeah, yeah.
And like so, I'm always finding these. I'm always trying to find these new beats, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think
Yeah.
that's fun, and like it's smart in doing it that way, where you're like subtly, without beating the audience over their head with it. You're like letting them in, like cluing them in, like this is
Yeah.
this is the joke. I'm joking, guys. Like it's okay to laugh. This is funny. I think that's a good distinction. Segue. Would you ever? You went to high school. Would you ever watch porn of somebody you went to high school with?
I think out of curiosity, I would have to check it
Like
out.
if you knew somebody that was in your, in the same grade as you graduated high school
Yeah.
together, and you found out that like they were doing porn now.
If it was like something that they put out on themselves and like by themselves, like on Pornhub,
yeah,
or
not they didn't
OnlyFans
get
or something.
blackmailed or like leaked
yeah.
nudes or
I
something
feel
like
like
that.
I would have to check
Out of courtesy,
it out, out of
right?
curiosity.
Same way,
I'd
like,
be curious about the clip itself and if I could even get into it, or if like the personal factor would make it too weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what, dude. It's almost like if a friend becomes like a SoundCloud rapper, you might check it out at least once to be like, oh,
Yeah.
they're making music. So and so's rapping now. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same thing with that.
Yeah.
I asked because we had where I went to high school, similar situation to you, where it was a pretty hick-ish town. Not like
Yeah.
no, it was pretty hick town. Some nice people, but yeah, a lot of hicks and whatnot. And there was a couple people now that have done porn. One dude I know has been on. I'm not gonna say his name, but Hot Guys Fuck. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I'm not gay, so it's not
In my Pornhub scrolling, I've come
You've
across
seen it, right?
this,
They have sex with
Yeah.
women. It's not just guys fucking guys for people
No.
that maybe
It's
not.
the camera focus is on the dude,
It's on
which
the
is
dude.
which is different from the way most porn is
Yeah.
shot. Yeah.
And so I know a guy. I don't know him that well personally.
Have you
but
watched this? Hot
Oh
Guy
yeah.
Fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did too. Me and some friends watched both of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
We had some. Wait. Was this like a group watch party?
Yeah. We all watched
Nice,
it. I
dude,
was
yeah.
like somebody found out and was like, no fucking way. This
Yeah.
is who I think this is. Sends it to this group chat, and we're like, holy shit. And so then we all got together that night
Yeah.
and we watched it together, and it was a special
Nice.
moment. Yeah. And then he came out with the second one, and yeah, we watched that one too. It was I haven't seen him in person since.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be able to look him in the eye
No,
now.
that sounds like a very normal thing to do, to sit with your friend and watch your male friend do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And then there was another one too. Another person in my hometown actually. This was a girl did a porno as well. So it was sort of a little bit less budget. She
Yeah.
uploaded independent. She went the independent route, but it's still on Pornhub, and yeah, interesting.
Right on.
I think she had a kid with this guy. The video was her conceiving her child, actually. Like it
I
lined
can't
up.
tell if you're doing a bit or if this.
I'm
is like
actually
serious.
not.
They
I really
conceived
wish
a
I-
child during the porn that they put
I
up.
really wish I would. He didn't. I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, he did
Mhm.
not pull out. And I remember specifically, it was like right around maybe 9 or 10 months later. It was within the year, she had a child, and so the working theory was that we very well may have seen it happen.
I mean, that's kind of beautiful in itself, because
Yeah.
eventually every kid like wants to hear the story. Of how,
yeah. Dad doesn't even have to tell
They don't
it.
have to hear it.
We
They
don't have
can
to
just
sit around the
watch it.
campfire. We can
Yeah.
just airplay it to the TV.
And they're gonna be like, my dad was a hot guy who fucked.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Would you, if you did a porno, would you want, classmates to have checked it out, or would you feel like shitty if they didn't? Like if everyone at your high school found out that you did porn and you found out none of them watched it, would you be mad? Because like I make music, right? I'm an independent artist. I do okay for myself, but it's like I know there are people that I went to high school with that probably never listened to it, or college even, and never checked it out. People I was close with, I'd be like, man, that's fucked up. You never supported my art. Would you feel the same way if you were a porn star? On the come up.
On the come up, yeah. I think I would be offended if they didn't like acknowledge me in some way, If I'm like doing like Mia Khalifa numbers.
I'd be upset.
I would feel like I should be the star of the next reunion for sure.
Yeah. Big time, of course. Yeah, I would be disappointed if somebody didn't come up and be like, "Dude, I saw your work with fucking Bang Bus or whoever the fuck, and it was dope, man. Like, excellent job."
Thank you, man.
I would be I'd buy that guy a shot or something at least. Like, that's respect.
I think it's always nice when people are receptive to like what you've been doing.
Pursuing. Do people family, friends or whatever, they know you do stand up?
Yeah.
What's the dialogue there? Are friends cool? Do you and friends give each other shit? Like, how?
Yeah,
how does it work?
my family, like most of whom is still in Pakistan, are like very stoked about it. Like when they see my stories or when I post something about an upcoming show. I think because they're all the way over there, they might think that like I'm of a higher stature than I really am.
Yeah.
Which I don't. I neither confirm nor deny. I just keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, they're.
Yeah, don't ruin the illusion
No.
if there is an illusion.
No.
Don't ruin it.
No, I'm a wrestling fan. I would never ruin the illusion.
Got
But
that
no,
NWO.
I definitely have like friends, some of whom I haven't heard from in years, just like commenting on my shit. It's like, hey, it's so cool how we used to hang out, and now you're doing this, and that always feels good.
Yeah, of course. Especially when you're putting so much time into it. We were talking before we went live. You're going to as many open mics as you can in a week. Sometimes hitting the stage 3, 4, 5 times a week. Like, you're putting in work, man.
Yeah.
And so it's cool when people recognize it. People give you that validation of like, yeah, man, what you're doing is cool. Like, keep fucking doing it.
Yeah, and it always ranges from like someone telling me that like they always considered me the funny one of the group. Now it's cool to see this, which feels good. And like other people will say, oh, we always thought you were so shy because of the stutter. Like I was quiet because of the stutter. So either way, it's nice to be seen in different ways.
You be seen. It's an outlet for you to express, your sense of humor specifically on a stage where maybe people that knew you didn't get to see that. And I think that's cool. That's special. Being in the comedy club as much as you've been, have you, what are like some weird maybe instances or run-ins maybe that you've had with random people at the clubs? Like, has anyone ever hit on you at a comedy club?
Yes, and I'm like so bad at like reciprocating it because like, again, this also has a lot to do with the stutter. After I've done a set, my adrenaline is like super fucking high.
Yeah.
And like even if I didn't stutter in the set, if people talk to me afterwards, I'm like blah, 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 blah. And like that's always what, especially when I do really well, when like an attractive girl will like want to talk to me and kind of flirt, and I'll just kind of like be nowhere near as cool as the guy who she just saw.
Shit. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's I know, I mean, comedy, especially when you're doing like an open mic circuit or something like that, I imagine, especially if you do kill, there's a lot of people that are going up in an open mic night and aren't killing, right? So it's like, it's got to feel pretty good. And if someone's coming up to you after, that's got to be a lot to handle with your adrenaline.
It's a good problem to have, and I try to remember that, but it's been a reoccurring thing where I know I've had a good set, and now I'm anxious, oh no,
and now
people are going to want to talk to me. And it's probably just like a me thing, because like, because I can always sense when like my adrenaline is at a level where I can't have a basic conversation. Like people will say you have a great set, and I'm physically struggling to say the words thank you.
Yeah.
And if I don't say anything, they'll just think I'm a rude piece of shit now.
We should come up with something that you could do to like, just some like off the wall that like people would just, like you just hit them with this. Like they're like, man, Syed, you killed that. And you're just like, don't say anything, just walk away. Just
that
do
would definitely
weird.
work on like a lot of the like white college people I tend to do comedy in front of, because if I do some obscure thing, they'll pretend like I know, like they know what I just did.
Yeah. Because they don't want to be left out, especially if you just killed. They're like, well, this guy. Yeah. It's a power dynamic, and
then they'll go back to their friend group and start doing this.
Yeah, dude.
And the friend will be like, what's that? It's like, if you don't know, you don't know.
That's,
like,
exactly. You're not even fucking in this shit. Dude, that's, maybe we got to start doing that. Now, you work outside of doing comedy as well.
Sure.
Do you ever draw from that for your comedy? You ever drawn from stuff that you do for money for that?
I had DoorDash on the side, and like I had this experience where like I couldn't find where I was supposed to drop off the food, and I kept driving by a strip club that wasn't open yet, and then I clicked. It's probably one of the people in the strip club who wants food before it opens up.
Yeah.
And then I finally like knocked on the door, and like a stripper opened the door in like full like G-string.
Yeah.
And then she kind of like poked her like head in because she didn't like want me to see everything like free. Like,
Is one of the clubs here in Milwaukee?
yeah, it was OTB. It was like,
okay.
I actually, and I was like, I actually have to take a picture of the food before I go.
Yeah.
And then she let me in, and I got to see the goods, which was
Yeah. No, you didn't have to pay the cover fee either.
No
cover charge because you're just dropping off food.
I'm dropping off food. Yeah, and
That's
then
sick.
I did a joke based around that where I like made most of my story jokes are like exaggerations, so I like flipped it around and like changed some things to come up with a decent punchline. And it's one of the more reoccurring ones that I do now. So that's definitely an experience that helped me write something decent.
Was that the first time you've been in a strip club or no?
No, I like I go on like if for special occasions if like a friend planned their birthday party there or something.
Damn, people do birthday parties there?
Yeah, and
that's like going to Chuck E. Cheese, but you know, a lot better, I imagine.
I've like after
maybe not though. I like the basketball game and ski, so I might, you know.
The food is usually underrated too.
Underrated. You think it's solid there? It's actually okay at the where are we talking, the strip club or Chuck E. Cheese?
Oh, I was still on the strip club.
Okay,
thing,
yeah. Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese
not
is not
two
good.
things that you would probably want to combine.
No.
Though maybe like if they had an area to drop your kids off at.
That would be single dads, you know. That'd be pretty sick actually. Even not single dads, fuck it, you know.
I think that would be a special thing.
What kind of food is good at the strip club?
So I haven't eaten there, but I just like look at other people's food while I'm there, and their wings seem to smell and look good.
Yeah.
So I feel like the cooks there probably don't get the respect that they deserve.
No, probably not. Do you are they boneless wings usually? Gotta be, right? No one's eating full on wings with their hands and then slapping titties and ass, right?
I would think not, unless that's like a specific kink of theirs.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
No, but I try not to go to like strip clubs just to do it, because it's like, for me, it's kind of like sad, because like you're spending a bunch of money to leave horny and like not get laid. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have that kind of money, you know.
Yeah.
To just like, I'd rather just jerk off for free at home.
Definitely.
If it came to that point, you know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah.
And now we've got ChatGPT and Snapchat AI. If you want to, you could just tell it like, hey, you're a sexy girl, stripper potentially. Talk to me for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then just jerk off. Like, at least then that you saved money. You got pretty much the same interaction. You could look up some pictures of whoever you want to look up. There you go. Easy.
Sure.
Then you don't have to go to
you could always use a bot to just like call you a cuck in a sexy voice.
Yeah, that would be good actually. That would be a lot cheaper alternative, I think. I have a friend who's a stripper. She strips here in Milwaukee, and I feel bad, but I'm not gonna support her line of work. I support her as a human being. But
sure. Wouldn't it be weird if like, wouldn't that be one of those things where it's odd to like support your friend to like go in and ask for a lap dance from like your platonic female friend?
Yeah, you know, it's like if one of your homies like bartends somewhere, you're like, man, I'll come visit you at work and like, you know, buy a couple drinks, tip you well. Like, yeah. I don't think you can do that there. Like, again, we were talking about someone I know like doing porn. I can watch the porn
because you can do that in your own privacy and shame, and just feel whatever you feel without
exactly. And I can lie to them afterwards and be like, it was great, or it was, you know, whatever afterwards. Same way that people will do with my music, you know. But when it comes to that, it's tough to. Yeah. You know, I can't go visit.
I have to say, use the example of like supporting your friends when they have like a SoundCloud. I go out of my way if I have friends who are rappers on SoundCloud, I try my best not to
listen to them?
That whatsoever. It's just
foul.
Dude, I'm not gonna name names, but there's this one comic who I rode up to Madison with.
Yeah.
And like he had his music on the whole time, and I noticed that's all he played. And so one time I just had a casual conversation with him. I was like, hey, well, what type of music do you like, man? And he said, without a hint of irony, I only listen to my own music.
That's wild,
that
bro.
That is some next level narcissism.
Yeah. Was it good?
No.
Damn. That's tough, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had somebody say that to me before.
I've
had
someone else. Okay,
and I have artist
maybe
friends.
I'm saying that because it's in fairness, it wasn't my like style. I guess there was.
No, here's the thing. Though.
There's like
honest.
a lot of vibey music. I guess if I was high, I would be like, oh, this weird.
But you can be honest too.
Yeah.
Something can not be your style, and you
Yeah.
could hear it and be like, dude, did you make this in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big fan of country, but if somebody just fucking stuck their phone up to their their mouth and just sang some random shit and it screeching guitar underneath
Mostly, I just think the concept of literally only listening to your own music is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, that's a fantastic.
Like, if you ask me who my comedic inspirations are, bro, I literally only watch clips of myself. It's like,
yeah.
I'm not sure I feel safe in a room with this guy anymore.
Dude, I don't know. I almost promise you. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It might have happened multiple times on this show. I know for a fact that at least one I've interviewed quite a bit of artists, and I know at least one of them has fucking said that. I can't name off the top of my head because I don't remember, but I know at least somebody has said across from me and be like, I'm really only listening to my own stuff right now. And
I think like one of the coolest mentally ill things I've ever heard is when Kanye was like, my biggest regret is that I'll never get to see myself perform live.
Yeah.
Like fucking bars, dude.
Yeah, dude, that is. He had man. He said some crazy shit. I don't know if it was him. Maybe this might have been Lil Wayne, where it was like, I think it was maybe this was Lil Wayne. It wasn't Kanye, but it's in the same vein where it was like, I don't need your pussy, bitch. I'm on my own dick, and like I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And I need to live my life like that. I'd probably be more successful if I did.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about.
Did you see Kanye on Alex Jones?
Yeah, I did.
It's masterful. The masterful part
Only the
about it
clips,
is that
but-
Alex Jones like looked normal. It's like, come on, man,
Dude,
you don't
yeah.
really mean that you love Hitler. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I specifically love him.
I have
think
love
that,
for him.
I think he did some like really cool things. And,
Yeah.
you know, I thought it was like, I think maybe it's possible he is like a genius artist because Kanye is the only. Because if you saw what he was wearing, he's the only black dude who did blackface, and somehow the whole thing ended up being equally or more offensive than a white guy doing blackface. Like, how did you pull that off? Like, everyone is mad right now.
Yeah, dude.
Like-
Yeah, he well, dude, and you mentioning too in those clips that Alex Jones and that other guy Nick Fuentes or whoever the fuck, they both look like reasonable in those clips because of how crazy
you can see how uncomfortable they are. But like the thing that they don't like is that he just says quiet parts out loud. You know, if they all were just like busting balls off camera, they would all agree with him.
Yeah.
Like, and then he just brings it on stage. Like, no, you're supposed to use
that's
the
the
dog
facade.
whistles. You're not supposed to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the facade that the Ben Shapiro's, the Steven Crowders, these Alex Jones guys, that's what they do. They play semantics. They're saying it, but they'll use different words so that when you call them out, like, hey, this is what you're doing, they're like, I never said that. That's your feelings. That's how you feel. That's not what I said. And it's
there's
like, no.
specific ways that you're supposed to phrase call outs.
Like you said, the dog
bigots
whistles.
and
Yeah, they're supposed to signal to him. Maybe Kanye is a genius. Maybe Kanye is so woke that he went on there to do that on purpose. To like to be like, this is what it really is. This is what time it really is. Maybe he's trying to make them uncomfortable. Do you think that he could be playing 4D chess with us? Or do you think he's just that mentally ill now?
I think he's that mentally ill, and he has like the worst people in his ear. Yeah.
He
I think he's just his ideology isn't really anything if you boil it down. It's always I was gonna say that it's always the dumbest people who think that he's saying something really profound.
Yeah.
But if you really pay attention, what he does is he'll pinpoint whatever opinion he thinks he's supposed to have or what most people would expect him to have, and there's like, the opposite of this is my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like okay, this is how I think he breaks it down. As Kanye, he's like, I'm black. Most black people are not conservative. Therefore, I am. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. That's the whole thing, and that's not
Yeah.
like profound in any way, shape, or form. But
What is
like
interesting too,
like he says spicy things, and he's enough of an artist to make it sound kind of cool to like the average idiot.
yeah. Well, and it's interesting because obviously he's made some great music in his career, and I think that also helps to his advantage. Where it's like
Yeah.
he had these great songs, especially especially when his contrarian points of view towards the beginning of his career were what a lot of people were thinking, and were maybe more positive. Where he's talking about how fucked up certain social circumstances are for black people and how they're disenfranchised and all these other things. And he's talking about, just anything he was talking about on the college dropout, late registration, even graduation.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like his contrarianism was like, I don't have to be the stereotypical like strong black man who's selling drugs and shooting people in the street. Like, he's wearing polos and doing these things like, but it's at the end of the day, like maybe he at one point looked back and was like, oh, I was really popular right then and there. Like, is it maybe because of, and he just went with the contrarian thing instead of like, no, maybe people just like actually fucked with the message, bro.
If that's what, I also think that at that time he wasn't where,
his mom
where
hadn't
he
passed
is
away
now,
yet,
where he is now overall.
Yeah.
So,
and I will say this for the record in case Kanye West ever hears this, and I hope to one day sit across from him at some point. I do love Kanye. I do love him, but he is saying some. I mean, I just can't. I can't put. I publicly just said it, but I don't. I skip the songs now. Like I've been recently. Like I feel weird. Do you feel like almost guilty supporting this person because of how crazy it has been over the last year and some change? Like you can't. It's difficult.
Sure,
almost.
I can see that, but I was saying like I think Kanye then was in a very different place emotionally, mentally.
Yeah.
But I also think in general he wants to be the like spicy guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when he did the thing with Mike Myers, Austin
George
Powers,
Bush,
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Yeah.
Like that was fucking cool. And like he said, right place, right time. I'm sure Mike Myers did not feel that way, but like if you do the thing where like whatever the edgiest take is your perspective, that there are going to be times where you land on the right side and times that you land on because it's the same guy who just literally said that he loves Nazis, and when the host was like, "Oh, you're just saying that you think that free speech, right?" No, I'm legit saying that I love Nazis because
yeah.
He was so like specific when they tried to correct him too.
Yeah, that's what I think. Maybe it
was so funny to me how Alex Jones tried to walk it back. He was like, when you say that you love Hitler, you just mean as a Christian you love everybody, including Hitler. And I was like, no, I specifically love Hitler.
Yeah.
Dude. Like,
yeah, it is crazy. Alex Jones, the guy that's being sued for however many $1 million because of the Sandy Hook thing, is like, no, maybe we should walk this one back.
Yeah.
And Kanye's like,
yeah.
Hell no, brother. We're gonna ride this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. That's phenomenal. Man, we've kind of we've covered a lot. We've been around. We talked submarine. We talked tragedies and comedy. We talked a little bit about the speech impediment that you have, as well as the accent and whatnot. What else have we not gotten to today that's going on in the world? Maybe that I'm missing, that I'm skipping. Is there anything that we need to cover or we need to get to today?
There is that new Flash movie bombing.
What's going on?
The
Flash.
yeah,
I thought you. Oh my God! I thought you said that somebody.
Did you think I said there was a bombing at a Flash movie?
Yes.
And did you just think that because it was me saying this? Is this like a microaggression?
No, that's not. That's fucking damn.
This guy knows something.
This guy knows more than he's leading on. No, yeah, we were okay. We did say we were talking about it before we went live. The Flash movie is bombing.
Mm-hmm.
We're both. You're into superhero stuff.
Yeah.
I'm into superhero stuff. More so Marvel, mainly just because they. I guess they.
I never got into the pick a team thing, but like
I know I love.
I do in general tend to enjoy more Marvel movies, but
I think it's just because they started off stronger. So.
Yeah, DC has been trying and failing to emulate the extended universe thing, and I think they've lately learned that they don't have to do that, and they do more standalone movies and explore different genres and ratings, which I think is what they should be doing. Yeah.
Joker was great.
Yeah, I think like obviously the first thing people are going to turn to is that the Flash movie is bombing because of the Ezra Miller backlash.
For people that don't know, do you want to elaborate on the Ezra Miller backlash for our audience that
I
doesn't
just know that he terrorized the island of Hawaii for a period of time. I have heard other things, but I'm not as in depth about them, so I don't feel comfortable
Yeah,
saying
I'll
something.
say
that
allegedly he had potentially convinced a minor to, basically kidnapped a minor. Allegedly, I'm not gonna fucking get in trouble here. He allegedly kidnapped a minor, where he coerced some person who was not of age to run away with him, and then I guess for potentially and again allegedly held them against their will for a certain period of time as well. They are apparently okay now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty weird. I remember he got arrested a couple times, and he was, yeah, he seemed like he's maybe mentally ill a little bit.
Sure.
Just going through something potentially.
Sure. Yeah.
On drugs.
So
or
yeah,
something.
I can see people not wanting to support
the
a
film.
movie that I think that's a facet of it. I think it's also that people tend to not. I think unless it's something marketed as a Batman or Gotham universe thing, that people tend to kind of sleep on DC in general. I know Keaton's Batman was in this, but it wasn't like marketed as like a Batman movie, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think in general people seem to have superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
So if you're the brand that has been second tier or considered second tier and the genre kind of isn't what it used to be, then
Yeah.
I think it all kind of adds up.
Do you think it's tough too? This is something just as like a fan. I'm a big fan of superhero movies, but I've always found it kind of difficult, I guess, in like a live action sense, for them to do speed characters justice. Like characters that if their superpower is speed, like I feel like maybe at least two right now, up until right now, there hasn't been like any really great movies with like a character who's shit is speed. Like they'll use Quicksilver for 2 scenes in an X-Men film, or even in the Marvel movie, he gets killed in the first movie he's in. I heard the Flash TV show was good. I never watched it, but again, movie wise, I can't really tell you like a superhero that's great. And
I loved Evan Peters's Quicksilver. I think that was one of the main things that I watched, like the latter X-Men movies for, just the sequence that they'd always do with his everyone. Speed, yeah. I was one of those people disappointed that when he popped up on WandaVision that it turned out to be a completely different character.
Just a cameo.
I thought that they were bringing the worlds, into the same space, but the Ralph Boner thing was definitely a disappointment for me.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I remember thinking the same thing, that they were going to go that route, which would have been cool. But yeah, it's just interesting, and I think it didn't help that like this is the thing that I think studios don't take into account. They'll like blame the immediate movie, where again, the Ezra Miller shit, I definitely think that's a factor. Like we were talking about, it's definitely a factor.
Yeah.
This whole thing.
I mean, the fact that it's underperforming compared to Black Adam, which isn't like quite a household name, like the Flash, especially with like an iconic character like Michael Keaton's Batman. Then that part of it is that people are not trying to support this actor.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. But then the other thing is too, it's like how I don't understand. Like if you make a bad product and you're trying to do a connected universe.
Mm-hmm.
You have to anticipate it's going to be harder for the next product to get the same eyeballs unless it's good. It has to be really good. Like even Marvel had kind of a couple movies where it was like I don't like Thor: Love and Thunder didn't do as great. Then they had I forget what was in between that and Ant-Man. And Ant-Man was kind of okay, whatever. And then even Guardians, which was phenomenal, and just came out. We were talking, you haven't seen it yet. And so some people aren't going to be as quick to go see the next movie if the one they just saw in this same connected storyline was kind of And DC put out a few stinkers in a row.
Sure. And this Flash is connected with a Justice League movie that people aren't particularly like stoked on.
Yeah,
in the first
exactly.
Place.
Yeah, and then just kind of a tough sell. I've like you said, I've heard some good things about the movie, but it's just doing very badly. So
I think it's a combination of the genre kind of not fizzling out. I'm sure it'll have a high point again, but it's not. People aren't excited about the genre the way they used to be.
Do you have fatigue for it personally?
The fact that I haven't seen Guardians yet would suggest yes, as well as the new Spider-Verse movie, and I haven't seen the new Flash either.
Yeah.
These are things that like in my head is like I'm gonna see them the second they come out, and I just haven't felt like it. And I think a lot of people are in that space too.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what more can this offer me that I haven't already gotten?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we try to go see all the new Marvel films when they come out, but we haven't seen Spider-Verse yet, and I really want to see that. But yeah, I definitely think that it's something that's kind of going on right now. It's not really, at least my algorithm isn't hitting that, all Marvel shit like it was back when maybe, and I hate when people say that like, oh, Marvel died after Endgame or whatever. I don't think that's necessarily true. But I mean, around Infinity War, like leading up to Infinity War, the last like 2 years leading up to that, and then after the fallout of that and Endgame, like, I mean, that's pretty much all anybody was talking about.
I think
pop
you had this
culture.
like very beloved ensemble cast and all the Avengers guys, most of whom are gone now. Like
RDJ, Chris Evans,
Scarlett
Johansson.
Yeah, and they're trying to replace them with like a new cast of people.
Yeah,
and I think Tom Holland is one of the only one who's kind of like at that stature.
Yeah. Well, and the tough part with him is that they refuse to like use him too much because he's not owned by them.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want the front man of like Disney doesn't want the front man of their franchise to be owned by someone else.
Yeah.
So they'll love to have him and they'll use him in all the team up films and they'll still help produce his movies, but they can't make him the number one guy. They can't make him the next Iron Man because it would be so dumb for them. Because then we can't even stream his movies on Disney Plus. We got to wait till I think they're on there now. But like it just would be silly like, oh, we're going to do all this so that Sony makes all the money, from a financial standpoint, which sucks for the fans because like if he's the natural choice, then he should just get it. But money, these companies got to make money, so that's all they care about. Do you have a favorite of the newer cast of Avengers? Or anybody you're excited for? I know you said you have kind of some fatigue, but is there anybody that you're excited to maybe see moving forward? That's still alive, I guess.
I guess I'm kind of interested in seeing like how and who they will. Are they recasting Kangs now?
I heard he's scheduled for court next week or this week. I don't know how that's going to go. I haven't really been following the case. But for people that don't know, the big bad, the new Thanos level guy, who was kind of underwhelming in the movie, I thought.
I haven't seen. I saw him on Loki, and I liked him there, but I haven't seen.
He was good in Loki. Yeah. But then in Ant-Man, it was just like he was still great in his scenes, but just story-wise didn't make any sense. It was really dumb to have him there, and he gets beat by a bunch of ants.
I guess one of the only things that kind of still excites me because like, it was always like either my favorite or one of my favorite characters in the MCU is the next Loki season. So.
Yeah, that'll be badass. Yeah. That'll be exciting. But yeah, so for people that don't know, Jonathan Majors, the guy who plays the big bad, the new Thanos level guy, may or may not be in some serious trouble with a domestic violence case. So the cops were called on him, I believe, potentially putting hands on him.
And the Namor dude is in some trouble too, isn't he?
Which guy?
The villain from Wakanda Forever.
Oh, Neymar, yeah.
Oh,
Neymar as well, yeah. Yeah, I just saw that. Too. I was like, damn, that's tough, bro. And it's tough when they get, because that's another big criticism, I guess, now is that like it's so hard now that the MCU is so big. It's like more of a gamble to go for a less popular actor because of course like we got really lucky with this first batch where like they all were solid actors, and RDJ maybe had a little bit more film experience than some of these other people, but like even RDJ was in a tough spot of his career before he got Iron Man, and everybody else, this is like you saw them, that's who they are, like that was like their first big break was these characters, and so it's like. When I see Chris Evans, I see Captain America. If I see Scarlett Johansson, like I see, Black Widow. And so like there's been this criticism that now that the MCU is so big, they bring in, new people that are already super famous to play people or cameos or whatever. Even the Reed Richards thing with Jim from The Office. I forget his name off the top of my head right now. Why can't I remember his name? But they had him play Reed Richards, and people were all upset about that. And it's like now they do take they go find somebody who is
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski. Yes, John Krasinski. That's who they were mad about.
The entire rest of his time.
Yeah, and like they find Jonathan Majors, and they get, and he, it's not that he's a nobody, right? He had great film resume, but he wasn't some huge household name. And then he gets this role as Kang, and that just explodes him onto the scene. And then he does Creed 3, and now he's doing all these other movies and everything. And the same thing with this guy who plays Namor. Like, I hadn't seen him in anything, and the directors take a chance on him, and he was phenomenal. I thought he was really good. And then
that was one of the main reasons I saw the movie. I was like a cool brown dude as the villain. It was appealing to me. Yeah, he's in Namor in the comics as well as in the film. He's kind of like in a gray area where he's not like fully like he's the villain of the movie. He's the antagonist, but he's looking out for his people. Like he's not like straight up like I'm evil because I want to be evil. Yeah, they gave just enough backstory to where the audience would be receptive to him being a protagonist down the line.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know, so it's sad. If these people did things wrong, and they're going to be in court for these things, then hopefully justice is served. But either way, as a fan, you're like, damn. Like, you're disappointed because it's like this person's talented and you want to see them succeed.
Is about me. I wanted to see this movie.
I wanted my Kang action figures to come in on time, and now they have to fucking redo the models because it's gonna be based off someone else, and they're reshooting Loki season 2. I know they had to reshoot a bunch of shit just in case this trial.
Oh, they reshot it specifically.
Yeah, I know that there was a.
Are they committed to
as far as
not using him or using somebody else, or are they still on the fence about that?
As far as I've seen, they have not made a statement. So I'm sure they're still on the fence because it would be tough if they wouldn't have done that. I don't know if you saw. I don't want to spoil. Did you see Ant-Man? You didn't see Ant-Man?
No, man.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil the film, but there is a scene. This is just a post-credit thing. Yeah. That there's a scene where there's like the Council of Kangs from the comics, where it's like that panel from the comic where it's all the Kangs. Yeah. And they're all played by Jonathan Majors. And I feel like if they hadn't done that and just had like different people playing him, this would be a lot easier situation because we'd just be like, hey, we're going to just distance ourselves altogether and be like, we're just going to use a different variant is the one that they fight now.
What do you think would offend people more if they they did it if they didn't recast him and they just let him keep playing the role even if he's found guilty, or they replaced him with the whitest actor they could possibly find?
Kanye West? Kanye West shows up.
You could have Candace as the female variant Kangs.
Oh my god. Dude, actually, I think Kanye West could play Kang.
Now that you say it, the ego and the self-image is there.
And like Kang's whole thing is like he's doing it because he thinks he has to just conquer all. Like he just has to prove it. And like I don't know, man. I could see
and you wouldn't even have to like write a script. You just have him sit on a phone
just
and tell him to say stuff, not telling him that he's in the movie. It's like, I am the rightful master and ruler of all the verses.
That's like I'm sure you've heard it because you're a fan of Bill Burr, but Bill Burr's bit about Kanye and how like if it was just
if it was a white guy who had Kanye's soul in him, how much damage it could do. Yeah, that's one of my favorite Burr bits.
Yeah, dude, but for real, bro, like, and I'll tell you what though, Kanye as a designer, I'm sure the Kang costume would be pretty fucking kick ass, dude. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. They need that.
Have you seen what his new girlfriend, fiance was wearing when they were out?
I think I saw the picture. I heard people saying she looked like Pete Davidson. That he got his own Pete Davidson.
Okay. I was like referring to like her outfit. She was dressed kind of like a Power Rangers villain.
Oh, really?
Not like the main villain, but like the main henchman of the villain.
Oh, okay. So not that good.
No.
Damn. Hit or miss with his style.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's rocking the big rain boots. Other times he's got on the first pair of Yeezys that were awesome. It's hit or miss. We're talking a lot about Kanye today. But I don't want to hold you up all night, man. I know you got some open mics to get to, and I appreciate you being here, dude. Like 100%. I'd love to come see you again live. Maybe bring some people. Are there any shows or anything you got coming up soon that maybe you're going to be doing that people could go check out?
I just wrapped up the last show I had for this month, so I'm still kind of waiting to see what I'll be doing for the rest of the summer, but I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, and people can. I've got your Instagram linked down below, so you guys are interested in checking out his stuff. He's linked down below. You guys can check him out. Before we wrap, you have any questions for me? Anything else we got to get to?
I am hosting at the Dandy, which is a great club, September 16th, I think.
The Dandy.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's here in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and yeah, Chastity Washington just did a special there. That's on Prime now, so I'll plug her. Y'all should definitely go check her out. She's
Chastity Washington.
Chastity Washington. Yeah.
Washington. And it's on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Shout out to her, dude. That's badass. That's cool. That's from someone from the Milwaukee scene, man. So people can support local. That's badass. I really do thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it. It's been cool getting to chop it up with you. You're a funny guy.
Definitely, man.
I hope we get to do it again. I also want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in live today, as well as those who are going to be watching or listening days after here on YouTube or over on Spotify, as well as a quick shout out to our patrons. They should be up on the screen right now. Thank you to you guys for supporting the channel. If you guys are interested in getting behind-the-scenes access to extra podcasts, extra blog footage, as well as a series where I break down how I mix, master, and write every single one of my songs, go to patreon.com/Darren Rita, and you can help support the channel for as little as $1. Patreon.com/Darren Rita to do that. Also want to say a quick shout out to Go Nuts. Appreciate you guys sponsoring the episode, and you know, we do need to get a Death Star skin or something loaded up, because that's a phenomenal idea, and they're gonna have to come to you, you know, for some royalty payments or something. But I also this has been the 208th episode of the podcast, of the dtalks podcast. I'll see you guys next week.